Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us today on the 1004 show. Today we have the dreams.build's own Dakota Gallimore with us all the way from Christiansburg, Virginia. Thanks for being with us today, Dakota.
Thank you for having me.
So I think the first thing that could be a challenge is you have a URL that actually has your title in it together, dreams.build. How did you come up with the idea of being able to actually have your title name with a dot URL that works?
Yeah, so it was an interesting problem when we were designing it. We actually originally had the platform named as applicationhope.com. And about midway through, we were like, that is horribly named, like just horrible to market. It just couldn't. It's just a mouthful. So we actually went back and redesigned how we could do the name. And this was around the time that custom domains were starting to come out. You know, you saw like the .TIs and the .PLs and the .builds and stuff like that. So we were like, well, we really need a awesome name. So we would go on to like blog posts and stuff and be like, well, does this actually flow within a blog post? Would this actually sound good up against like our competitors or what have you? And through that, we wanted to have something that was simple to remember, but also kind of unanimous. And if people had to remember the .com at the end, you know, if they just typed in dreams.build, it would take them directly to us. So that's kind of like the methodology behind it. We wanted something very simple, but also represented what we were about, which is creating and helping people to build their dreams. And that's just kind of how it flowed. And, you know, we found the .build was on there. We're like, all right, that sounds awesome. You know, it flowed really nice.
It does flow, and you remember it more than, what was your old domain? I've already forgotten it. So
Application Hope.
There you go.
Yeah.
So for people that are buying custom domains like that, is there a different price on it, or are they like $12 still, like anything else?
No. So when we purchased it, you know, you have to buy them per year, right? So I think ours renews in about another year, but it's a little bit of an upcharge. So .coms are the cheapest right about now, and then .builds and other ones have different premium price tags assigned to them. They kind of vary depending on what you get, right? So .PLs and .TIs or, you know, .builds, they all have a different, smaller price, you know, at least through our provider that we use. They have different price ranges.
Interesting. Well, it's a really cool concept. So dreams.build is trying to help people build a lot of different things, but in your mind, in your words, what is dreams.build?
Yeah, so dreams.build is an upcoming crowdfunding platform focused around projects and product-based projects, but it's the world's first two-stage crowdfunding platform. And this is imperative because it represents a whole new funding model of how projects go about funding on crowdfunding platforms today. And so how we call it dreams.build is because, like, dreams.build to me is my dream. It may be a product, it may be an item to somebody else to use, a service, but to me it is my dream. It's my dream product. You know, I have this overarching view of what I want it to be and how it's going to change the world. And that's embodiment of kind of like how we're going to help people build dreams by securing funding for their idea. And after they secure funding, they can go on to build into their dream.
So you say it's a two-stage. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so we split the funding model up into two different stages. You know, on crowdfunding platforms nowadays, you have one funding model, and that's it. You know, you set your goal, and then you set your funding duration. And if you don't hit it within that time limit, you're out of luck. Or if you do, and you have to do stretch funding, well, now you have this goal or this time frame that you allocate to hit that one goal, and now you have to completely shift around your marketing for stretch funding within the time frame that you set just to hit that one goal. So that could be like 1 week, which is really hard to do for aftermarket. Or not aftermarket, sorry, stock terms there.
Right.
After funding, that's you're supposed to be doing, right? So what we did was we split it into two different stages. Stage one is kind of like the go-to crowdfunding model of all or nothing. You know, if you're successfully funded, you go into stage two, you receive your funds, and if you're not successfully funded, you don't receive any funds, and you don't go into stage two. So when we were designing this, we really thought about how can we design a crowdfunding-friendly funding model, which is kind of weird to think about because other platforms have these models and they work with crowdfunding. But it's a little bit different from just working working to actually working and doing it correctly, right? So when looking at the data for crowdfunding industries, we saw that platforms that had all or nothing funding models were far more successful than platforms that had just flexible funding models or supportive funding models, where project creators got to keep any money that they raised without hitting their goal. And we were like, well, why is that? And there's a lot of factors into it, but the all or nothing funding model is about 20% more effective in getting project funding. A lot of it is with supportive funding, you're asking people to donate to a project without actually telling them, hey, they're going to get this, so there's no guarantee that they'll actually get that project. They have to rely on other people to donate and hit that goal in order for them to receive it. So with all or nothing funding models, you have that kind of security. Well, I'm only going to be buying something if I'm going to be getting something in return.
Got it.
And so we place that first because that helps the sponsors. People are more willing to donate to something if the only reason why they're going to lose money is if they're going to be getting something, And so then we were like, well, flexible or supportive funding is also really helpful to project creators. So how can we implement this as well? Well, we added it into the second stage, right? And what this does is it alleviates that sponsor worrisome of donating to a project, because if it's in stage 2, you know that it is coming to market, it's been successfully funded, they've hit their minimum, they're going to get there. And so all you're doing now is basically buying into it early before it launches at a crowdfunding rate, or helping it become something, having that voice in it. And that's meant for long-term funding. It's engineered to keep projects on the platform longer, in the spotlight, in touch with their communities and stuff, through being able to fund more by showing progress from stage 1 within stage 2. And instead of cramming that into 1 week, you have that crammed into 2 to 4 months.
Right.
Long.
So the stage 2 piece of it is primarily for someone who has already hit, and now they're trying, and now other people that might be interested in jumping on the bandwagon, if you will, getting on, knowing that, hey, this is going to happen, and that's what you learned from those numbers. Did you? And it's rewards based primarily, crowdfunding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it is reward based.
Why do this? Like, what was in your mind? Were you going through this yourself? Did you just see other people and then you were like scouring message boards? How did you come up with the idea, and why are you doing it?
Alright, so we came up with the idea 4 years ago. Really just kind of me, and the idea started from something completely different from what it actually became, which is kind of fascinating to me. So the idea kind of originated to me as I was going down Main Street in a small town college, UVA-wise, and I just pulled over to the side of the road. I was like, this is great, because what I was thinking about was, at the time I was studying mobile app development.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the App Store and trying to put out some projects on the App Store. And I was like, if every single project donated $1 to charity, we could solve world hunger within a day, right? Or solve it for a day, or 2 days, right?
Right.
Because there's millions of projects. It's just each one of them just gave $1. So that's kind of spawned the idea at the beginning. Like, okay, well, how do we create something that makes that change in the world, that revolutionary kind of shift of solving world hunger and problems plaguing our current society. So when we were going through and thinking about this, at first we were like, well, we have the skills to know how to do software engineering and computer science and stuff like that. Let's do a platform geared around that.
Yep.
And then we did Application Hope. But after we were doing a whole bunch of research into the industry, like, well, we don't want to just put out a platform that's just like everybody else's platform that's not going to add any meaningful value other than maybe 1 or 2 features, well, I'm not saying that like other platforms don't, but in terms of how we wanted to affect it, we didn't want to just have 1 or 2 additional features.
Sure.
So we looked at it as a way to completely look at the whole industry and see if we can come up with a way that now, after the industry's been around for 8 years, be the next evolution of it, of a go-to platform. So we decided to sit down and conduct a lot of research, about 3 years worth of research before development even started.
What type of research were you doing?
So we were looking at data of people who collect things like crowdfund data center, just following projects like the Coolest Cooler and stuff like that, and seeing what they did before they got onto a platform, if they had research.
You know, they went twice. The Coolest Cooler, the first one they did raise a couple $100,000. I don't think they were successful in hitting that number, and then they did what, 13 million or something, insane. Yeah.
So, and we looked at that. You know, that was an interesting case because that kind of brought to attention to us of the seasonal buying habits kind of contribute to the crowdfunding formula. Do people contribute differently to different projects based upon what season they're funding in?
Interesting.
And you know, that brought a lot of light to, well, when should you offer a project? And that showed light that you should offer a project when the people are thinking about it, not necessarily when you deliver it. So, like the Coolest Cooler, for example, they were funding in the wintertime thinking, oh, well, people will donate to it, and then they can deliver it in the summer when they can use it. But in the wintertime, people are putting up their coolers. It's not in their mind to be buying a new cooler. They don't have a direct need for it. So, you know, when they re-released in the summertime, people were thinking about it, like, oh man, that's such a good idea, and they were looking at their cooler right now, probably just chilling, waiting to get stuff in it. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And so then people donate to it, and you can kind of see that. Obviously, there's more factors in it, but we definitely think that played a role in it. And so, you know, we wanted to look at the whole industry like that. And with that, we came up with a whole bunch of different features like digital files, the community hub, two-stage funding, and our charity donations, right? That was kind of what the whole idea spurred out with, is our charity donations, where we would donate 1/6 of our revenue to charity every month. And that's something that we are very, very staunch about.
Do you choose the charity, or do the people get to choose the charity that it's going to?
So the roadmap for this is we will choose the charities for the first 12 months, for the first year of operation, right? A lot of big name companies want to see that you've been operating for a whole year before signing on partnerships and everything, but we also want to scope out what our community cares about, right? So we only want to donate to charities that our community cares about. And so while we will be handling the donations, with our community hub, people can go on and be like, hey, you know, I don't really necessarily like the charity that you're donating to. I think this one would be a better choice. And if we have a lot of community people who are voicing the same concerns, you know, we'll definitely look into it and probably donate to it, depending on, you know, if they fit our criteria. You know, they have to be a verified nonprofit and be spending more money on their cause rather than administrative fees.
Sure.
And, you know, have a clear and defined mission. You know, we don't really want to donate to a charity that's all over the place. We kind of want them to be, this is what we do, this is how we improve the world, so that we can, you know, project people can be like, well, I helped donate and make this contribution to the world.
So the community hub is filled with who? People that are contributors? Anybody who's in the community hub?
Anybody who's on the platform. So if you have a user account on our platform, you can use our community hub. And if you don't have a user account, you can browse the platform. You just can't, or you can browse the community hub, but you can't, you know, contribute. You have to create an account in order to contribute to conversations or what have you.
So someone right now could go to dreams.build. They could sign up for an account. They could start having communications on the community hub, learning more about the two-stage. Are you guys a benefit corporation?
We are not, but we are definitely looking into that. That's something that we are going to be doing within 2 to 3 months of launch.
Okay. You guys have, you know, I think you've really taken that research and done something with it where you've really seen where some other places might be lean or lacking, and come up with some really innovative ideas. And I think it's really interesting.
Business used to be tough, then we stepped in. Sleepless nights, depleted bank accounts, way too much on credit cards, plus working 24/7. All for what? Bankruptcy? Heck no. Get the exact process you need to change everything. When do I ask for the sale? Post to social media or cold call? Let's face it, business isn't for the faint at heart. Good thing that's not you. No matter what level you are in business, from the first dollar to the next million, your time and money is valuable. Knowing what to do will save you both. This platform includes 3 weeks from starting to making money course, raising money for dummies, scheduler, a calendar to schedule all of your existing content. Oh yeah, plus access to hundreds of expert workshops, business templates like legal, executive summaries, all editable. On-demand access in the car, on your laptop, or next to your partner while watching Shark Tank. Growing your business couldn't be easier. Nate just used 1004 to raise almost $64,000 on Kickstarter. Without 1004, he says, he would have not raised a penny. For more information, head over to 1004.com. That's 1000four.com.
All right, so Dakota, you had an idea, and you guys have built it, but how do you take that idea and turn it into an actual concept that people will use?
Putting it out there, getting exposure, listening to people. Basically, it all comes back to customer relationship, right? If you don't have a good relationship with people who use your service, then you can put it out there and have it designed and created, but if it's not what they actually want, it doesn't matter, right? So it all comes back to customer relations. If you have a good relationship and get that feedback from them, you can actually change it and tailor it into something that they want. It's actually, when we did software engineering, it was one of the big things, learning about what the user wants, right? What they need, because and it's always good to have people just randomly come in, like doing a closed beta and stuff, having a fresh eye on it, because you start developing and you get into this mindset, well, this looks good, but you use the system, 200 times, you know all the process.
Right.
So having new people come in and test it really helps in terms of people will do different things and they'll be like, well, this makes no sense. Why are you doing it this way? And it's like, well, we get into that mindset that, okay, it works just because it's a lot better than what we had before doing development, right?
Well, it's kind of like duct taping it, right? So you know exactly what the process is, so you know how to do it, but when you get other people's eyeballs on it, you learn a lot from it. Is it hard watching other people use your product not the way that you built it for? And how do you kind of deal with when that happens?
It's one of those things, like, you're just kind of nervous. You're like, oh, please don't break, or what have you. They're unpredictable, but I love it personally. I'm kind of like a perfectionist, so the more avenues that you can take without us anticipating it, and that having the system adapt to that is actually more beneficial to me. So I actually really like that, even though it's a little nervous here and there, just because you're worried about how they are going to perceive your product. At the same time, that's invaluable feedback. That's invaluable a process that you need to do, and it helps you to translate into something that is going to be far greater than what it was before.
And you can learn from it, and it's so good. This is great. So dreams.big is the world's first 2-part crowdfunding platform. Let's do a couple of quick hits. So you started your business when you were how old?
Started it 4 years ago. If I can do my math correctly, about 21 years old. Yeah.
20, is that the first company you've ever started?
Yes, it's the first company I ever started.
Have you ever thought about quitting?
Nope. There's been times when it's gotten hard.
Yeah.
But quitting's never been an option. This is kind of my passion. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm kind of in love with. So right. Quitting's never been an option.
How do you know that you're in love with your company?
Just the way you feel. You just love it. Like, you see it working, and it's just like, yes, this is going to make a difference, and you get excited about it, even when it's maybe not always going to work out the way you intended it. It's inevitable to hit those bumps, but when you hit those bumps, if you want to keep moving forward, you have this idea, this passion that you really, really want to see happen. You have that love, you have that passion. I can't really tell you, like, how do you know when you love your idea? It just kind of happens.
You just know it. What does fail fast and fail often mean to you? Do you follow that mindset? Have you ever felt? Because it seems like it's kind of like you're getting your product in front of people and you're learning from them to know whether that's there or not. Kind of like we were just talking about. I mean, do you live by that at all?
Yeah, so we usually don't say like fail. We usually say like mistakes,
Right.
in terms of it, because you learn from your mistakes. You know,
Sure.
the person who has never failed, who has never hit any stumbles, that necessarily didn't learn too much from that process. They just know success, but you learn so much more from going through those trials and tribulations.
Sure.
And figuring it out. So.
And they're probably lying.
And they're probably lying, yes. Yeah. So, you know, we always say mistakes. We never really want to necessarily say fail, just because to me it seems like, oh, well, you can't recover from a failure, right? But you can recover from a mistake. So,
I tend to agree with you, right? So it's such a negative word, and you don't want to surround yourself by negativity. It's really just growing from something that you learned from. How many hours do you work a week?
About 80 hours.
So how much do you sleep?
About 3 to 4 hours a night.
Wow.
Roughly.
How much coffee do you drink?
A lot. Starbucks loves me. I'm a regular now, so
there you go.
You know, it's just one of those things. You're always on call too, right? So I love to be engaged with the community, so I'm always on social media. You know, if you ask a lot of our fans on social media, they're like, "Yeah, I've talked to Dakota," and it's just, you know, so I may work 80 hours, but I'm also on call the rest of the hours of the week.
Absolutely. Well, Dakota, it's been a fun chatting with you. Dreams.build is the website. You can go to dreams.build. That's DREAMS.BUILD. And then I'll take you to the website, dreams.build. In the next 5 years, dreams.build will be what?
The world's first crowdfunding ecosystem.
Awesome. Awesome. Dakota, appreciate your time, and best of luck with the rest on continuing success with your business.
Awesome. Thank you. You too. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Business Made Easy. Experts, templates, community, and results. Learn more today at 1004.com.